Welcome to another edition of Interruptions. I'm your host, Otis Smith. Today, I have a treat for everyone that's from Atlanta. I have a journalist. She has been a treasure to the city of Atlanta. I'm talking no other than the beautiful, the brilliant, and for me, because I stick with my dark skinned people, Jaquilla Williams. How you doing?
I am good. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, Will Down and I talked about that. We got to, I told him, I said, if you want to win, you got to get somebody dark skin. Light skin, yeah, light skin gone out of style.
How about it? How about we just as long as they're black, okay?
Well,
But I
Jaquilla,
got you showing love. It's
They
Jaquetta.
bullied us at one point. They were trying, they were bullying us at one point.
Oh, ain't nobody bully me. Nobody
Well, you
bullied
female,
me.
well, you
I didn't
female.
play that.
Well, you female. So long as a
I'm
woman had a
woman. Yes, I
curve,
am woman.
yeah, yeah. So my first question for you today is what made you choose a career in journalism?
Well, and like I said, it's Jaquetta with two T's.
Jaquetta.
It's
Oh,
Jaquetta.
Jaquetta. Okay, I'm
Jaquetta.
sorry.
Uh-huh.
Please correct
No,
me.
no, no. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, I was gonna get you together, gathered. Um, so anyway, I decided to do broadcast journalism because honestly, when I was at Savannah State University, I had no idea what I wanted my major to be. Thankfully, I had a really good friend of mine who ended up being a soror of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Her name is Alicia Gibson. She ended up saying, "I think you really would be good at doing this." And
Okay.
how your passion has a way of finding you, so to speak.
Yes.
Mine kind of found me, and when I kind of look back over my career, I realized, when I was in high school and elementary school, I used to always get good grades, but I would always get the little note that said, "Jaquetta is a great student, but she talks a little too much in class." And I was
That was
always
me.
incredibly curious, curious about everything, and
Sure.
kind of wanted to know why and how things work. So that's how that thing kind of just spiraled into television broadcasting.
Wow. I wish I would have done what you did because similar story.
You
I've
are
worked.
doing it.
Well, I'm doing it now, but it's funny what you said. Your passion finds you.
Find you.
Because when I graduated from high school back in '89, actually wanted to be Stuart Scott before Stuart Scott. I
I got
wanted
you.
to, and I got kind of talked out of my dream because they was saying, "Oh, they're giving all the jobs to
Uh,
the athletes and stuff," and didn't, pursue it.
Pursue it.
And then I kind of got into sports management, and now this has found me back. So it's
Oh,
funny,
good.
like you said, it's your passion will eventually come
Yeah.
calling for you. How did you end up
Yeah.
at I say Channel 2 WSB?
Uh-huh.
How did you work your way to working there?
Well, I had been working, a number of places. I started in
Right.
Augusta, Georgia, which is my hometown, then went to Tennessee, spent a little time in North Carolina, then went out to the Midwest and spent some time working in Kansas City, Missouri. And then I had just gotten to the point where, because I was in the Midwest and it really does snow heavily, the weather is quite different. When people
Yes.
say, when they laugh at us down here in the South, I know why they laugh. I understand, but people have to also understand the South is not built for that kind of weather.
Correct.
So anyway, living in the Midwest, and I realized that I just was tired of moving around, and
Okay.
I wasn't in love with the Midwest per se,
Sure.
because even here in the South, when the summertime, I'm sorry, when the winter time, fall time is around, we still get sun. When you're in the
Correct.
Midwest, there is no sun, and it could be no sun for quite
Ooh.
some time. And
Ooh.
it does something to your psyche, and it did something to mine. So I called my agent at the time, and I was like, "Look, I am only willing to go to Atlanta." At that time, I was really good friends with the late great James Brown, the Godfather of Soul,
Oh
and
yes.
I had already reached out to him and was like, "Look, Mr. Brown, I am coming back to Georgia. I
Uh-huh.
need a job, and so can I be a background singer?" Because he let me sing for one of his birthday gatherings. He let me be an opening artist. So he said, "Yeah." They were getting
Okay.
ready to go on tour not long, and I told my agent, I said, "Look, If you can get me a job in Atlanta doing television news, then great. If not, I'm done, but I'm coming home. He gets me a contract with Channel 5. He gets me a contract with the CBS affiliate. He gets me some freelance work at WSB. And so at the time, I was trying to decide whether I should sign the contract, do freelance, because freelance means they'll call you when they need you. Although
Okay.
I did not know at WSB, being a freelance worker means they will work you 7 days a week for as
Ooh.
long as you will let them work you. So, but anyway, I talked to my good friend Byron Pitts, who used to work at WSB, and I was like, hey, I've got these offers. Which one? He said, I think you should go to WSB. Went to WSB because it was my dream, but I wanted a
Okay.
contract. But it was my dream to be in a double box and have Monica Kaufman at that time, Monica Pearson now,
Yes.
say my name in a double box. So I ended up deciding to be a freelancer at SB. And within, I think, on like a 6 or 7 month period, I ended up getting hired on full time, anchoring the weekends and reporting. And my career began. And I told Mr. Brown I would put the background vocal thing on hold
Sure.
because this was a dream of mine. This is something I really wanted to do. And he understood. And that's how I started working at SB.
See, I didn't know you was getting ready to do something with the Godfather. I didn't know you was getting
Oh,
ready.
yes. Oh, yes. I was
Oh.
going to do it. I was going to be a part of Bittersweet. I was a doo-wop pop girl. I was going to do that thing.
I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
I was
when,
going to do it.
when you were coming through the ranks,
Yeah.
how hard was it to get to sit in that seat as an anchor? Like you said, freelancing, sometimes you see people come sideline, reporting out, out and about, and then you sitting in that chair, and in
Well,
the how hard is that to get to that place?
it could be challenging, but I think that if you are smart about how you move in this business, when
Mm-hmm.
I started, I, of course, researched how much the television anchors made as well as reporters made.
Right.
And I learned very early on in my career that I needed to be on the anchor desk in order to make the kind of dollars I wanted to make.
Right.
So I started my career as an anchor reporter. And I made every move I made outside of
Mm-hmm.
WSB coming as a
Right.
freelance reporter.
Sure.
Every other place I was an anchor reporter. So when I came to WSB, they were aware that I knew how to anchor and report. It's just that because I wanted to do it so badly, I was willing to be a reporter just to be at SB. And then, of course, they allowed me to fill in, and an opportunity presented itself. And that's how I ended up being an anchor reporter at WSB.
That's amazing because I just know from growing up as a kid, we didn't, just see ourselves reflection reporting the
Right.
news. And then when we saw Monica, yourself, Jocelyn, Dorsey, and
Mm-hmm.
started to see. And now when I turn on the TV, I tell my wife all the time. I say, "No, now look, now you turn on TV. That's all you see is us."
Oh,
I
yeah.
said, "Look at that! Look at that! Look at God."
Times have definitely changed. Yeah.
But most definitely. What is for people who don't know, what is the job of a journalist? What
Oh,
is it?
wow. The job, people think it's they think it's easy, I believe. And I think people who do it really well,
Hmm.
The Monicas, the Javitas, I'll put myself in that category. But people who
Please
do it
do.
really well make it look easy. But being a journalist is it takes a lot. You're news gathering. So, for example, if you go on a scene and you're having to, and if it's if it's a murder, if it's a car crash or what have you, you have to quickly be able to navigate the scene, meaning
Mhm.
look around you, find people who you believe would be good to talk on camera. You have to talk to the officials who you speak with. You have a photographer that's with you. You're dealing with the outside elements, whether it be rain, snow, whatever it is, you're out in it, and you're supposed to gather as much information you can within a period of time. And let's just say you have a tape that the photographer has in his machine. Let's say that tape is for an hour.
Okay.
But you've got to take all of those interviews that you've had, knock them down to sound bites, that all are all cohesive,
Hmm.
and you as the journalist have to write and weave the tapestry between what you write, what your interviews had to say. Do it within let's say a minute and 30 seconds, minute and 20 seconds, with the ins and the outs. Write what the anchors are going to say to toss to you. And then if they have a
Wow.
question, you can provide the question for the anchor. Or sometimes, as often, they would ask the question that you asked, but they may have a follow up question of their own. You've got to be prepared and have an answer for
Okay.
the questions as well. And then you have to stand outside and look like you have been, doing it all day when you may have had only an hour to pull that together and put it on the air.
That
And
is a
have all
lot.
your subject and verb agree. You can't, speak in a way that is not, you have to use proper English.
No, the
Understand?
reason I'm laughing,
And
the reason I'm laughing, I mean, because y'all is because when I graduated high school, I went to Columbia School of Broadcasting, and so I
mm-hmm,
know what you mean. They would have you do a commercial,
mm-hmm,
on tape, and if you didn't give the right feeling to it, or if you didn't enunciate correctly, if you did,
yeah.
so that's why I started, because I know exactly you're correct. In that time, in that space, in that time frame back then, you had to be on point with everything.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how it is now too. Nothing has really changed in regards to that.
That you're right. You guys made it seem so seamless, because people do say that. Oh, I can do that. I mean, they ain't doing nothing, but
Oh, you have no idea how many people would come up to me on the streets
hmm.
and was like, y'all hiring? And I'm like, we ain't. And if we were hiring, this is not how you're going to get the job, baby. It's not just standing out here looking cute, wearing nice clothes, just
Right,
spitting words out. And then even people who we had as interns who I would say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to let you do the whole, like you follow me, you shadow me, but you
hmm,
put together your own piece. And when they actually realized how much went into what we actually do, they changed their minds. And then to keep in mind, let's just say if you're out on scene, you've written your story,
okay,
you throw to it, the story does not roll. Something happens, the tape breaks, what have you.
sure,
Then what? As a journalist, you have to stand there and still be able to talk about what happened seamlessly and not look like you have deer in the headlights, because a lot of people do that too. When they sit and have to anchor the news, they think, oh, you're just reading. No, 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 no. There's a gift and an art to being able to look
okay,
into a camera and make you feel like I'm just talking to you and I'm not reading anything, and to do it in a way that allows you to understand, okay, this read is about a murder, but this read is about, hey, this is something you need to tell your family, and the last read is something happy and fluffy and fun. Your voice inflection needs to be different for all three of those reads. You can't sound the same. There has
right,
to be some change in timbre in the
correct.
voice. So there's a lot that goes into it.
You're right.
You
I
got to
mean,
read,
you
and
can't.
you got to know a little bit of everything about everything. You can't.
Wow.
You have to read everything. You have to read politics, health, education. Just whatever you need to know those things, because you might be reporting on those things.
That's I was getting ready to say that, because you never know when someone may ask you to step in
Yeah,
and you can't sit there and like, oh, I don't know anything about that.
I can't do that. No, we have to do everything.
Okay. That is. Do you believe that with social media out now, that it
Hmm.
makes a little bit of the journalists have to be more, I would guess, for a better, like a word, more accurate with what they're reporting, because you have the um with the phone cameras and things of that nature. So sometimes, in the past, sometimes the story may not been told correctly because of limited information that you were able to gather at the time. Do you feel like now with social media out there with the camera phones and stuff, you have to be a little bit more make sure you're more accurate in the story that you're telling, because someone can just pop up, and say, "See, this is it. I was trying to tell you, well, this is it," and she didn't get the whole story.
No, I don't think. I think that when you're telling a story, first
Mm-hmm.
of all, as a journalist,
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe social media has forced anybody to make sure that they're accurate. I
Okay.
mean, being a journalist, that's what it is. You are a fact finder. You cross every T and you dot your I's. You're
Sure.
not going to go. That's why the word allegedly is allegedly. You know, that's why when you say, police say one man shot the other man, I'm not saying it. Police have said that.
Gotcha.
So that's, you have to know your facts. Now, as it relates to social media, yeah, you may be able to see a side of the story based on somebody taking their phone camera out.
Mm-hmm.
However, let's
Mm-hmm.
just say if you have one woman beating another woman and you're just showing the fight, but you didn't show what happened before that to
Gotcha.
precipitate the
Right.
fight. So just because you see a clip of something does
Mm-hmm.
not mean that I'm wrong and the person who took the camera out is accurate. It also doesn't mean the person who took the camera out on social media is wrong. But you have to be capable of telling a complete story, not just something that somebody decided to shoot because they arrived on the scene.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Who was there for you to teach you the ways when you first started appearing, on TV and on these news channels? Who was there to say, let me pull Jaquitta to the side, let me show you to move this way, move that way? And also being an African American, also because you didn't come along at this time, you came along before the
Mm-hmm.
time that we're in now, to say, okay, and you also, as an African American person, you have to be this, you have to be that. Who was there for you to bring you along?
Well, there were a number of people there. There's my mom. There was
Okay.
my agent. There were people, women who I watched, who I admired, who
Hmm.
were able to, I could call at from time to time. There were women who I just watched, like Oprah, and just kind of pulled and gleaned something from
Sure.
her. It was just kind of a village of people that sometimes I would reach out to, and then some of it was just me. A large part, which is kind of unfortunate for women, but as a woman, we are charged with kind of being all things. Hair has to be laid, face right, makeup right, clothes right, shoes. Men, not so much. I mean, you can be pulled together, but if you're not, people don't, put this red dot on your forehead and say, oh, this man, Joe Smith, whomever,
Right.
doesn't look good. For me, it is something completely different. And then, of course, because I'm a warm toned woman, I knew jewel tones, reds, blues, yellows. Those colors
Hmm.
make me pop. They may not make somebody else pop, but I knew just from being a child what colors work for me. So I didn't really need anybody telling me, oh, okay, well, don't wear a lot of black or blue. I don't like a lot of black and blue anyway. I want something with color because my personality was indicative of that. But there were some times when I would just send my resume tape to my agent or to one of my mentors, and I would
Hmm.
say, hey, take a look at this. What can I improve on? What did I do well? And one thing I learned about television news, you're always going to be a work in progress. I don't care if you reach to the highest height of your
Sure.
career. I think whenever you look back at your work, you can always see something that's better. And for me, I always realized that my agent gave me KISS, which I learned and do to this day. KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Stupid. Yeah.
So when you don't have to keep running off at the mouth, just when you ask your question, and then be quiet because bottom line, people want to hear from the person that you're talking to, you're interviewing, not you. So make your questions concise, make your thought process concise, and what are you trying to say, and then say it with simplicity.
Well, thank you. No, that's some good. Hey, listen, that I take. Listen, I take constructive criticism well. I
Well, that was
uh,
not that was not directed at you. That
no,
was
no,
just
no. I know, but
that was
I
just
but I
okay.
can glean and still take that in, because what I'm doing, you've been doing, and so when someone speaks, um, some knowledge and wisdom to you. I remember Chris Broussard told me. He said, if you're gonna do podcasts, or if you're trying to get on ESPN, Fox, or what, he said, just kind of what you alluded to. He said a lot of people think it's so easy. He said, but the one
Mhm.
thing they forget to do is be great at what they're doing right now. And because
Mhm.
you're trying to get so far ahead of yourself that you forget to just be great with what you're doing
Mhm.
at that
Mhm.
moment. And so I
Mhm.
took that to heart. And what you just said, I try to
Mhm.
take that to heart as well and incorporate that in what I'm doing. So thank
And
you.
plus,
Thank you.
if baby, if I showed you some of my old tapes when I started, whoo, we could have a hallelujah good time laughing because, oh my goodness, sometimes I go back and I'm like, Lord, somebody gave me an opportunity. Thank you, because I was green. The voice wasn't right. The hair was, it was cute, but it wasn't right. It was just.
I go back, I kind of go back and look at well, like when I first started, and I'm so thankful
Mm-hmm.
Zoom changed because I was at first, Jaquetta, I was using Microsoft Teams,
Oh
and
my.
then so some people, they don't know how to download Microsoft Teams, and
Right.
it's say no,
Right.
use Zoom, and at that time I didn't want to use Zoom because I didn't have a green screen, so I didn't
Ah.
want you to see the background. So so my second interview, this is how good God is. My second interview, Jaquetta, was Bill Dukes.
Oh, I love Bill Dukes.
And I had no background. I had nothing behind me before four walls, but I was so
Uh,
thankful, for the opportunity. All they wanted to know
to
from
get
me
him.
was what were your questions. That's all I had to send was
Right.
just the questions. And I look back, I said, man, I wish I would have had a backdrop. So I use backdrops now because it's not about me. I'm interviewing you. So I
Right.
like to pay homage to the people that I'm interviewing and make sure I have
Oh,
a
that's nice.
picture of them. That's just kind of my, my thing that I like to do. So
That's nice.
what you I'm gonna say it this way: you beat down cancer. All right, you beat cancer down. And that what was that battle like for you?
Well, coming off the heels of Breast Cancer Awareness Month in conjunction with recently losing my dear friend Jovita Moore. Um, Cancer, when I tell you cancer is, I've often said God sometimes will give you a gift,
Mm-hmm.
and the gift may not come in the package that you would like, but it is a gift just the same. So I never would have thought that cancer would have been deemed a gift for me, but it helped me. Oh, there's my friend. Um, it helped me realize that I needed to live on purpose. I need to live with intention. I needed to be about my business of purposeful living and paying no attention to naysayers or foolishness that I think you can sometimes get trapped in before you even recognize that you're in it, because cancer taught me that we are here for such a short period of time.
Right.
And in the short period of time that I am here, that we are all here, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to waste my time. So it's just like, and the other thing I realized too, cancer taught me that, you know, Jaquetta, you're going to die at some point. Otis, you're going to die. All of us are going to leave this earth at some point. So in the time that you are here, what are you here for? And I've always said to God, don't let me be on this earth and not be about my business of living within the realm of the purpose in which you brought me here. So, and then I will also admit, with so many people who have had cancer, particularly in the building, that we worked, from Jovita to another coworker. Her name was Shonda Taylor. I spoke about, those two women had the same kind of cancer. They died within the same period of time.
Wow.
And I will admit that, being someone who is still here,
Mm-hmm.
when they say survival remorse is very, very real, because it makes you wonder, we all had cancer, but I'm still here and they are not. But then I had to realize too that they've satisfied whatever they were here for. I have not. So I need to keep running the race that I'm running. And at least now I know that I have just that much more wind behind me because Jovita is pushing me forward. Shonda is pushing me forward. And so many other people, ancestors are pushing me forward. So I just don't want to waste the time. Because when I realized how hard it is fighting cancer
Mm-hmm.
and fighting for your life, people just, fighting for your life is something that I can't even explain or describe, but you literally realize like you are battling forces that want to take you,
Right.
and you have to have some kind of faith, power, undergirding that is giving you as much as you can to keep fighting. And not to say that the people who passed away weren't fighting just as
Sure.
hard as I know that I am. I just know that God was like, you don't have to fight anymore. You've done what I wanted you to do. So it was incredibly difficult. I will admit it was incredibly, I think, needed for me in some ways because I've
Sure.
definitely lived life differently. And I hate, but I hate it. I hate it. I hate cancer then. I hate cancer now. I hate it.
I don't blame you. When you was talking about the survivor
And I miss
remorse,
my friends.
you, I, I, I just told my wife that we had this conversation, and I said, in any walk of life, I don't care what it is fighting for your life or getting promoted, not promoted, whatever it is, right? But we were talking about life and death, and I said, favor is not fair because
It is not.
when you look in the Bible, everybody wasn't healed. Like, I remember having that conversation with Carl Winans, and we was talking about at one point when they said his brother Ron had died on the table for 5 minutes
God. Mm-hmm.
back, right? And I remember
Mm-hmm.
sister and I were 12 years apart. And I remember she looked at me and my mother and said, "Why didn't God do that for my dad?" And you talking about
Mm-hmm.
a knife cut through and you don't even have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom
Mm-hmm.
gave me the best answer. She said, "You're gonna have to ask God when you meet him.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you
Mm-hmm.
meet him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I can't answer everything for you." And so
Mm-hmm.
wonderfully, state like, your God still has you here for purpose. And like you said, when you
Mm-hmm.
get older, you're gonna die. I was like, oh, okay, you just bear good news today, huh? You just
But it's the truth. It
it,
is the truth. It is the truth. I'm not going to be here for forever. You are
yeah.
not going to be here for forever, brother. And sadly, you don't get to pick.
Mm-mm.
We don't get to pick. And
Now when God,
because I don't know, I can't waste. You can't waste. We
correct,
can't waste any time. No
correct,
time. No
correct.
time.
And
And especially now, you
and
got
you had
people who you got
no,
millions
go
of
ahead.
people who have died from COVID,
Yeah, my uncle.
who were here and who are gone. So you don't, and I don't mean to be, it does sound morbid, but it is the truth. It's just the
No,
truth.
go there. That's
And
why I
I
love
and
it.
I operate in truth. I'm operating in it because I'm not candy coating it. I'm not. It is what it is.
No, you can't sugarcoat it because it's like the little childhood game we play. Ready or not, here I come.
Here I come.
When God say that's it,
You can't hide
yeah,
until
it
you
ain't gonna matter what you do.
find me. Yes, that's it.
Tell me about these two behind me,
Ah,
Monica and Javita. I will have the pleasure to interview Monica next month. So
awesome.
you're the
Tell her
first.
I
I will.
say
You're the first.
hey. Sure, Monica. Monica is the gold standard. Like I don't know anybody who, particularly who wanted to come to Atlanta, who didn't either want to work at WSB or who did not feel some kind of connection or kindredness to Monica. And for me, people would always ask me, what level did you want to reach in your career? And I would always say I never wanted to. My goal was not to be Good Morning America or the
Sure.
Today Show. My goal was to work at WSB, and I wanted to be in a double box. That's when Monica's here, and another reporter
Right.
said they call that a
Okay.
double box. And I wanted to be in that double box and have Monica Kaufman at the time say my name. And I remember one of the times when she, like one of the first times when I finally saw that my dream was coming true,
Uh-huh.
I kind of like, I paused for a minute because I was like, I was just like, ah! It's coming true. She's saying my name. So when I say she is the gold standard for broadcast news, particularly here in Atlanta, that's exactly what I mean. She's like a mama, kind of sister, an
Yeah.
auntie, a cousin. She's kind of a sister friend. She's all of that wrapped up into one person. And she's also the kind who will give you and who does not mind giving you tough love. But she's also the kind who, when disasters happen, tragedies happen, good things happen, she is the one when she stands in front of that camera or sits in front of that camera, you
Sure.
believe what she has to say and you trust in it. You put that on everything because it's Monica Kaufman. When it comes to Jovita, Jovita was much more of uh, a sister. Like I didn't feel like she would chastise me or anything like that. We were just um, very close, very connected. Jovita, Jaquitta, people would oftentimes, more times than I could count, call me Jovita. I would be either Jovita Williams, she would be Jaquetta Moore, or whatever it was. And it happened so much. I remember one time I was like, this woman, I was going into a store. I had to
Uh-huh.
sign myself in and I put Jaquetta Williams and she was like, no, you're Jaquetta Moore. And I mean Jovita Moore. And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm
Right.
Jaquetta.
I'm Jaquetta. How you
And
gonna tell me who I
she
am?
was like, but then she was like, well, if you don't want to speak, you ain't got to speak. You ain't got to act like you. And so I pulled out my camera, my phone, and I was like, ma'am, this is Jovita, ding, and I am Jaquetta. And so I remember calling Jovita one day and I was like, ooh, girl, I didn't act it up. I said, but they kept calling me Jovita Morris. I was like, if you get an email or a phone call, that was me. Cutting up, but since she said it was you, I didn't correct her. So we had a lot of times where it was like that, and more importantly, Jovita was class. She was perfection when it came to telling the news. She made you feel like, once Monica retired, there was
Mm-hmm.
no shift in the standard of professionalism, of
Right.
class, of providing the news between Monica and Jovita. And the one thing I will also say in regards to her, I absolutely know the person that everybody saw on television. But the Jovita that I loved the most was the one that you didn't see on camera. You knew she was from New York, but it was almost like she resided in two people. Strong,
Mm-hmm.
firm,
Mm-hmm.
will go to bat for you if something kicks off or goes down. She was the one I'm calling.
Okay.
And but she also had the softest heart, the kindest heart, and they were mashed up against, you know, together in one beautiful soul person. And so, and I guess, even this week has been very difficult for me to process. Like my head knows one thing, but my
Right.
heart is saying something else. And if I'm honest with you, I realized somewhere in there, I thought Jovita was a superpower. She
I know.
was kind of
Yeah.
above being just an everyday human being that,
Right.
shed blood. I came to realize that, like, oh, that's why I just thought she was going to make it, because I thought she was more than just like you and me. She was Jovita.
I
So
I
she,
had this. I had the same thoughts. I said I wanted to reach out to her before. They even said she was sick or anything because I wanted to
right.
interview her because I was, trust me, I was on this thing. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get Javita, I'm gonna get Jaquetta, I'm gonna get Monica, and then I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna get
hmm
Fred. That's gonna be my
hmm
news. That's where I'm going, right? And so
uh-huh.
when they announced, like you said, that she was sick, I kind of took it as, okay, she'll have the surgery, she'll be at home, she'll rest comfortably. I'll just circle back a year later. We'll have this great
hmm
testimony that
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so like you said, when sometimes it doesn't, go that way. Um,
Yeah.
you like you said, and of course you actually knew her, and
Yes.
when I was going through it with my mother passed in 2017 unexpectedly, and
Mhm.
I had been like heartbroken, like been depressed for like up until actually last year. And it was
Yeah.
only till I interviewed Bishop Cortez Vaughn. Unexpected. That's what I
Mhm.
love about my show. Interruptions get interrupted sometimes. And I was asking him about that, and he said this to me. He said, "The scripture talks about so that the deer panthers, so does my soul panthers after you, O Lord." And he said, in the scripture, the deer actually is not thirsty. It's where the deer went to get water. The water was no longer there where the deer is used to getting water. And he said,
Mhm.
when someone passes, that's what happens. Whatever we got from them, whatever it was,
Mhm.
we're looking to get that, but we can't get it from that same place. So then now you
Mhm.
start to have palpitations. You start to anxiety, you start to get frustrated, everything. And he was describing what I was going through, because it was like I was so mad at God at the time because I wanted my mother back, you know.
Mhm.
And then, sometimes you trying to butter up God, like, you can do it, you can bring me
Mhm.
my mama back, come on now, you know.
Mhm.
And when it doesn't
Mhm.
happen, I had to wrestle that thing away from me, because I was
Mhm.
living with it for so long. I would sit in my house, Jaquitta, I would cry. Nobody knew I was crying. Like, I had to really fight
Mhm.
against that thing, for a long time. And that's why I asked you, even with your own battle, because I think people don't understand that everybody goes through something. It's just how you handle what you're
Yeah.
going through.
What you're going through.
And like you
Yeah.
said, fighting for your life, that's different than other fights. That's a
Mhm.
total that's a total
Mhm.
different thing. Because now we're
Mhm.
talking about fighting for tomorrow is what we're talking about.
Mhm. And you
So,
don't know if you're going to win either. It's the luck of the draw because it's very clear that you know any of us can have something, and
hmm
you and I could have the same thing, and both of us make it, but the third person doesn't. And it's not like that all of us didn't fight hard. It was just
yeah,
we made it now, and they had to go. But the one thing I realized too, it's like we're I'm going to eventually see her again. You will eventually
yeah,
see your mother again. I said this on my social media. I was like, you liken it to going to a restaurant. You say you're going to go to the restaurant. I want to go to the restaurant. You decide to take the interstate. I decide to take the back roads. You get there before me, but I get there too. I just get there a little bit later.
I like that analogy.
So
I like
it,
that.
it's we're going the same. We're going to the same place. It's just the direction in which we get there. So like I said, I have been working very hard to, mourn, grieve in my own time. But I
Right.
also realize the Javita that I know, the personal one that
hmm
I know she would not allow me to do this for too long.
Right.
She would not allow me to do this for this. And more importantly, a lot of people have said, they wish they'd met Jovita or they met Jovita or what
Uh-huh.
have you. But I know that not only did I work with her, we spent personal time together. Her at my house, me at hers.
hmm
Going places and laughing, and all the pictures that I have. They are the memories that I will hold until I see her again,
Before I
and I
ask
will
my
see her again.
before I ask my last question, you were saying
Sure.
something that it just an image popped in my head to make me laugh. So I said, let me tell her this. Maybe she'll laugh. I said, I can
Sure.
see you and Javita on Judgment Day. And because the Bible says that the judgment starts with the house of God, and I can see y'all reporting. so, so y'all like, yeah, Lord, see, he was down there, report. Come on, let me show the clip. Let me show the clip what they were doing. They wasn't on your side, Lord. I can I said, just reporting the news. I got this, Lord. Hold on, let me roll the tape. Play the thing. Play the thing. Now you ain't getting in here. You ain't getting in here.
That's funny. That's
but
funny.
My last question is everything you've been through in your life, the
Sure.
ups and downs, the smiles and everything, what has helped you
Yeah.
still keep that beautiful smile that you have?
Well, when I sit back and I think of everything that I have, that we all in our personal lives have gone through, and when you realize that you are still here, that you are healthy, that you're whole, that you are, people take for granted how important just having health is.
Yes.
Good
Yeah.
health, being able to walk, to see, to
Yeah.
talk, because there are people who do not. So every day that I get up, I make sure that I do the things that I'm grateful for. And it could be something as simple as eyelashes or having hair
Okay.
or feeling good, because there were times when I did not have those things. So
Mm-hmm.
being outside and being able to hear the birds and looking at them in the tree, I stop now and I admire them.
Gotcha.
The Jaquitta before cancer wouldn't have done that. So the thing that keeps me smiling is the warmth of good friends, people who I know love me, who care about me, and it doesn't have to be a whole lot of people. It can be just three. Those three mean the world to me because some people don't even have that.
Correct.
And knowing that I am still here and that there's still something for me to do. Like I'm charged with doing something important. God also knew He could give me cancer and be an example for Him and show what He's capable of doing, which means He trusts me with assignment. That makes me smile to know that He loves me, He trusts me. So I'm going to be smiling until the day I die, and even if all my teeth get knocked out, I'm a gum yeah.
Now, just get bridge work or something. Don't do that. Just bridge work or something. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do. That one thing. I'm gonna tell you the
But
truth.
that's
Don't fall off like that. Don't fall off like that.
I won't fall off. I won't fall off. I won't fall off. But I'll definitely keep smiling because I can always find something to smile about.
And if
Something.
you can't reach out to me, trust me, I'm the one because comedy is my coping mechanism. I'm the person even
Okay.
I'm the person at a home going you want to sit next to. Trust me. Me and my mother,
Ah.
when my grandmother passed, me and my mother sat on the front row, talked about everybody that walked by. I'm
Oh my
talking about
goodness.
talked about everybody that walked by.
Oh, you
So
one of them. Okay, I see who you
oh
are.
yeah.
Okay.
Even at my mother's homegoing, I did her eulogy, and basically all it was
Oh wow.
was Def Comedy Jam. That's all it was.
Oh well, that's good.
Just go
Laughter. Laughter's good medicine.
find it. So
Very good medicine.
thank you for coming on the show. Bless me with your
Oh,
beautiful.
you're welcome.
Please stay safe out there and stay
I
blessed
will.
to be the treasure that you are to us.
Thank you. And I will. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Take care.
Okay, bye.